Okay, I want this channel to be a place where I can talk about, sports. I can talk about all sorts of sports. My bread and butter is basketball. Like, that's what I mess with. You already see, like, that's what I mess with. But I have many other videos lined up for, like, other interesting topics in the making. However, this NBA season, how it's gone so far, they're not going to allow me to make other videos because, don't get me wrong, like, me and my homeboy, we will be talking about, my homeboy going to be making videos on this channel as well. We're going to set his shit up and it's all going to be good. But, we're going to talk about Kyrie Irving. We're going to talk about Ben Simmons. How LaMelo Ball might be, like, a top 10 point guard already this year. How he's being overshadowed by Miles Bridges trying to be the best player in the fucking league right now. How DeMar DeRozan has just become, like, I know DeMar DeRozan's whole thing has been he's Kobe, but like the light version of him. But like now he's dead ass trying to do a Kobe impersonation in every conceivable way you could think of. The days of our Lakers, because that soap opera just never is without content. And then like Jaylen Brown might be becoming my new favorite player. I don't know. It's just all at once. But one of the biggest storylines this year, and is the debut of the new rules, which have nerfed foul baiting. Now, offensive players tricking the defense into fouling them intentionally is nothing new. However, this iteration we see is having an offensive player shoot or jump in unnatural ways, like jumping into the defender from behind or swinging their arms into the defender like they're creating contact with their offhand, or just by bumping and hooking them with them theatrical selling. This way of drawing fouls has been used by many prolific scorers like Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, Joel Embiid, Chris Paul, and to some extent LeBron. It has been abused by two players standing alone on the island of flailing uncontrollably by breeze touching them. This past year, Trae Young pissed off a lot of people with his constant use of jumping backwards into defenders and swinging his arms like a Muppet windmill. It was believable because Trae Young is not that big, and with just a bit of something that would impress Rey Mysterio, he could always look like he's being fouled when a lot of times nothing really happened. But before Trae Young, it was James Harden, the Van Gogh of making older basketball fans throw a drink at their television screen. Harden has been doing this for years now. He's found ways to draw fouls that fans, players, and coaches didn't even think were legal. To put in perspective, during the 2016-17 season, Harden went to the free throw line 881 times. That ranked 24th most ever. Only Dwight Howard beat those numbers in 2008 and 2011. The way Harden was getting fouled was at a rate similar to guys like Dwight we just mentioned, but Wilt Chamberlain, Shaq, and Karl Malone. He was getting fouled at a rate that rivaled guys who got fouled on purpose. The method is at a guard that stands 6 to 8 inches smaller than the big men that I just named and is someone that you wouldn't want to get to the line because he's an 86% free throw shooter for his career are just incredible if you look with an unbiased lens. James Harden essentially manipulated the old rules to stop hand checking to the advantage of his playstyle. Defenders up until 2003 were allowed to put their hand on offensive players. Now, while also implementing zone defense, defenders are allowed to put their arm out to navigate where an offensive player is going to be. Players like Harden that carry more muscle mass tend to have a hard time getting fouls, as for them to get fouls, they really need to get hit. And defenders can get away with a bit of extra force with that arm. Harden pretty much used the over-aggressiveness of his defenders and that they would tend to use, like I said, and he would aggressively hook his arm into them, and then he would go up for a shot, or either off a screen or when he has them beat and he would go up for a shot, and it'd technically be a foul because Harden's shot was altered because of the defender, even though he's the one who initiated the contact. Because the philosophy of Harden's tactic was pretty simple. No rules say I can do this, but no rules say I technically can't do this either. What pissed off fans the most was that he was most successful at it and didn't even really need to do this. He had 3 straight years of averaging over 30 points a game and getting 10 free throw attempts a game, making practically all of them. He won an MVP off of this. He was putting himself in debate of the greatest offensive talents at his position, like guys like Dwayne Wade, Allen Iverson, Tracy McGrady, and the late great Kobe Bryant. During this time in Houston, he averaged 29 points a game. I'm going to round all these numbers, by the way, just put it out there. I'll put the actual stat on the screen, but like I'm gonna round all these numbers. During this time, Harden averaged 29 points a game, 8 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, like kind of 2 steals, 4 turnovers a game, but 44% from the field. 44% from the field. You get the point, yeah. 36% from 3, 53% efficient field goal percentage, and 86% from the free throw line. He found a real-life GTA money glitch in the system to get the one thing every player wants. They want points, opportunities to slow the game down, and having the defense in a mental prison every time you have the ball in your hands. And Harden racking thousands of points a season doing this shit. Defenders were really deadass having to come up with new ways to defend this man. Like, with the infamous having your arms behind your back like you go into jail or some shit. What made this even more exhausting was that all of Harden's teammates knew how to shoot. So, he had a lob threat or a cutter at his ready. With being a masterful passer, because he is a very good passer, Harden was one of the most unguardable players in the league for a while. That was the fear when taking one of the most unique and annoyingly good offensive players and pairing him up with 2 more unique and annoyingly good offensive players when Harden went over to Brooklyn in January of this year. Now, the NBA from last season has talked about changing the rules, and it was made official in April, where they confirmed that they would be outlawing abnormal, non-basketball ways offensive players draw fouls. The NBA's Vice President in Referee Development and Training, Monty McCutcheon explains. If you're placed at a disadvantage through good play, then therefore a foul should be called, offensively or defensively. We're not trying to take away every pump fake. We are trying to take away a pump fake that then leads to an abnormal launch angle that the defender would have never hit the offensive player had this offensive player not taken this abnormal launch angle. We want to balance the ability of a defensive player to compete with passion with an offensive player who can compete with passion. And when we find that balance, good competition is the result. The NBA's official Twitter page put out a Twitter thread on September 30th detailing the new non-calls, which in brief go as follows. Players stopping and jumping backward into trailing defenders, players abnormally kicking their leg out, and players hooking their off arm into another player. We saw a preview of this in the 2021 Olympics where they follow EuroLeague style rules. So meaning if you wanted to get a call, you needed to draw blood. The USA's national team tried taking the same foul baiting tactics to the international stage and then proceeded to get embarrassed by everyone on social media and then also embarrassed by the Nigerian and Australian national teams in pre-tournament play, showing that how the NBA officiated wasn't really close to how every other league that have smaller courts and less talented players officiate. Now, there were other reasons for the slow start for Team USA, the lack of chemistry, conflicting player styles, coaching decisions. Some of these guys were literally in the playoffs like a couple weeks ago, not having much big men or quality defenders, and other rule differences like the goaltending rules. But it was apparent that guys that were hunting for fouls and then they were getting dubbed, as it seemed fans favored a more physical style of play. So coming into the NBA season, now we were looking for players that could potentially be nerfed by this new rule. We looked at Curry, who tried to draw a foul, now illegally in the preseason, and then getting returned to sender. We thought Trey would be affected, maybe Luka, but as of now, we're almost pretty much halfway through the year at this point. I made this video. I made the script for this video quite a while ago, and all those players are doing relatively fine. Maybe some hiccups here or there, but like Curry's in MVP debates, and Trey's playing really well, and Luka's doing Luka, and a lot of the issues that Luka has are not really his fault, but one player stands alone. Now, at the time of making this video, James Harden's counting average has been really okay. Like, he's been very good. Up to this point, I'm recording this video. Okay, hold on. I'm recording this video on January 4th. Okay, so everything I have was probably from like last month. So let me give me 1 second. We're gonna look up his stats, because honestly, if you just look at the counting stats, he's doing just fine. James Harden, as of January 4th, is averaging almost 23 points a game, averaging about basically 10 assists a game, averaging 8 rebounds, a steal, about 5 turnovers a game, and he's averaging. But the kicker is he's averaging 41% from the field, which is like the lowest since his rookie year. He's averaging 33.5% from the line, which is kind of on par to what he actually does. So nothing too surprising here. A little lower from last year, but on par for what he does. But the thing is, and his free throw attempts, honestly, don't even look that crazy. He's averaging 87% from the free throw line, and he's getting about 8 a game, which is almost a slight uptick from what he's been doing the last couple of years. Just looking at the counting stats, he's been fine, but the thing is, it's the free throw efficiency that's come into question when when fans are questioning James Harden. His free throws has been interesting because he averages 8 a game, which is, like I said, more than what he was doing the year before and more than he's been doing the last few years. But literally, a couple months ago, maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago, he was getting 4 a game. And he was averaging 17 points on still suspect efficiency. Now, he's never been the efficiency king. That's not really what I'm here to try to tell y'all. However, he's been able to get away with his efficiency because of the volume of shots he takes, the volume of free throws that he gets. Now that's being eradicated, and we're seeing some of those cracks. Steve Nash commented after a game saying that he believed Harden was being targeted, while Harden echoed the same thing, saying that there's a stigma with him, that refs hold their whistle because of him. Oddly enough, I actually agree with James Harden here that or at least what he's saying, as he's the most successful with the foul baiting, and a lot of the new rule changes are basically because of him. But what Harden and Nash don't seem to realize is that Harden is actively still trying to do all the things that are not going to go his way. Harden by no means was the only player that struggled with rule changes, or even struggled in general. But what makes him unique is that he relied a lot on fouls, and that has changed how he approaches the offense and his own scoring. Now he must in real time change his style, and that's a tall ask for anybody, especially a player that's coming off an injury and spent most of his summer rehabbing. We all saw that the man pretty much played on one leg during the 2021 playoffs. Now, I really don't know the extent of how badly he was injured, but if he was missing playoff time and missing quite a bit of time before the playoffs started, it was probably serious enough. All the time that he usually spent on training and working, probably could have worked to, get kind of shy away from all the foul baiting. He spent it rehabbing. Now he couldn't really, do the work he wanted, which leads into a new problem, his weight. And now that breeds his injuries. Now, Harden coming into a season out of shape is nothing really new. It happens from time to time, but Harden could usually play himself back into shape, and he never really dealt with any serious injuries that would make him miss any significant level of time. Remember when the world was being shut down due to COVID-19, and when we saw pictures of Harden looking like he just came back from a mission trip in South Africa? He looked like he dropped 20 to 25 pounds, and then when the NBA bubble started, he looked like he gained a little bit more weight, but was still on the skinny side. Although he was still great, you could tell he was being, he was slowed down just a little, as he looked like he gained weight. He looked like he gained a little bit of weight towards the end of the bubble. Then before the next season started, he looked like he put on a little bit more. He looked a little more out of shape, but a lot of people can contribute that to just him wanting to get the hell out of Houston. And also all the pictures you saw in the club, hang out with little baby, he probably went back to eating whatever he wanted. I'm gonna, let me quickly get in on that. I personally do think it's not a good look. However, those are isolated pictures. He could have spent the whole rest of the day, working on his game. He could have spent the whole rest of his day training and all that. You know what I'm saying? Or because he was injured, going to physical rehab. So those are all isolated pictures, but I mean, they are out there, and they don't paint him in a positive light, especially with an NBA athlete who's going through, his body's constantly changing. But back to the video. And okay, when he got to Brooklyn, he went back to his normal weight, but you know, his body is changing every 9 months, and that is hell on your body. But regardless of everything I just said, he was playing pretty well in his last season in Houston and his first season in Brooklyn, because when you're putting up 44-point triple doubles and constant 30-point games, all while eating whatever you want and being out of shape, who really cares what you eat or do on your free time? You know what I'm saying? However, this is taxing on your body, and especially a big guard like Harden. This is usually what breeds injuries, those lower body injuries, the hamstring, the ankle. You know, you get the point. All I said can be linked to how he's played for the majority of the season. He's not, you know, yes, weights, injuries, fouls are all one thing. However, he's not. And it's very easy to say, oh, it's the foul changes, and now Harden's not a good enough player. But you know, but foul baiting doesn't really explain that he's not getting by defenders as fast as he used to. He's more flat-footed while manipulating the mid-range. He's also not getting the separation that he always gets, that leads him to take more difficult shots that right now he can't make. And maybe his conditioning is what is not make him not able to get away with it, because these are shots that he usually always takes. But if you're going through conditioning problems and you're recovering from injuries, it's probably harder to make those shots. That could all be the right hand, but I think the leading culprit is the lack of fouls consistently being called his way. Foul manipulating is a big part of his offensive identity. It was one of the reasons why it was a nightmare on Harden Street to guard this man. He literally had you in a mental position every possession. It was going to be hard for him to just, you know, snap out of it, but other stars who are equally known for it, like Trae Young, have found new ways to score. And in the case of Trae Young, if you're just looking at efficiency, he's having arguably the best season of his career. Like, I'm recording this video, and the man just put up a 54-point, 16 assist performance last night. Harden is good enough to figure this out. He's had some good performances. Like, as I'm also recording this video, he's been on kind of a hot streak. He's put up like 33 plus points in 3 straight games. He's had like 2 triple doubles. You know, right now this is the best stretch of games he's had all season. And having Harden on your team is never a disadvantage. But as we are now like 31 games into the season, we must ponder, what if Harden doesn't really get back into his normal rhythm, that normal form that he always has? Like I said in the beginning of the video, players adjusting to new rules and struggling to do so is not new at all. When the NBA implemented zone defense in the early 2000s, many of the top scorers struggled out the gate. However, Harden is being exposed more because Kyrie is currently not here right now. So more of the offense is falling on him, and they're pretty much asking him to be his Houston form next to KD, and he really hasn't been fulfilling that as of now. He's relying on fouls and that aren't frequently coming his way. And if you go through the game logs, outside of like I said, this is not Harden's been shit. Like, he's had very good performances. He had the game against the New York Knicks, that was stellar. He had the game against the Lakers when he was undermanned. KD was out when COVID protocols. Kyrie's been out. A lot of the team was out due to COVID protocols, so it was pretty much him, Patty Mills, and like a bunch of 20-year-olds. The Christmas Day performance against the Lakers was his best game of the season. And he's had some good games against the Clippers, and he's had another good game against Indiana, but there is a pattern to all those good games he's actually having. All the games that he's having, he's either playing very not good teams right now, teams that don't have playoff aspirations, teams that are currently dealing with injuries or COVID protocols, which not really an excuse, because like almost every team in the NBA is going through some level of COVID protocols. Like, he hasn't had a very good performance against like a very good team. He's more than a scorer, you know what I'm saying? He's a great facilitator, and honestly, he's having one of the best passing years of his career. And Harden still brings that gravity that star players bring, that separates superstars and just regular good all-stars. But he gets paid to be a scorer. He's known for being a scorer. That's what we had in our head when Brooklyn got James Harden last year. Like, yo, imagine an offense with a 3-headed monster with 3 guys who are the best offensively talented players ever. But now Harden is 32 years old, and maybe this is just a one bad long slide, and when Kyrie comes back tomorrow, because he is scheduled to come back for the Indiana game, they're going to be back to normal. He's going to have his rhythm. And Harden, this is all just going to be just a very weird blimp in the career of James Harden. Or, like COVID, is this the new reality? What y'all thinking? Thank you guys for watching this video. Like I said, I'm still trying to test out with this camera. The lens has been pissing me off. I don't know how I'm, if it's blurry. Like I said, it's unacceptable if it is blurry. Going to keep working. Going to get this stuff down pat. Going to get it better. Gonna get like a bigger monitor, because like the monitor I'm using on my camera, I can barely see if it is. But right now, that's what it is. You guys are just, like, comment, share the whole YouTube thing. And and if you like these videos, you think, like sports videos are in your favor, we're going to be doing a lot of NBA videos, got a lot of other videos coming soon. So yeah, leave a like, subscribe, all that stuff. And I'm out of here. So yeah.